The rarest jobs in the modern world. Right now, somewhere in the world, a person is being paid to push strangers onto trains. Another is preserving a human body in liquid nitrogen, and someone else is crying at a funeral for people they've never met. These aren't scenes from a dystopian film, they're real jobs, and only a handful of people on Earth still do them. In the age of artificial intelligence, automation, and digital transformation, you might think every profession has been streamlined, replaced, or uploaded to the cloud. But you'd be wrong. Scattered across continents, hidden in plain sight, are jobs so rare, so specialized that most people don't even know they exist. Some are holdovers from a forgotten era. Others are so niche that only a few dozen people worldwide have mastered them. Today, we're diving into the extremes of human labor, the rarest jobs in the modern world. Before we meet these extraordinary professions, let's ask the obvious question: why do rare jobs still exist? In a world obsessed with efficiency, you'd think every occupation would either scale up or die out. But rarity in work doesn't always mean obsolescence. Sometimes it means the opposite. A job might be rare because it requires extreme specialization, skills so difficult to master that only a few people ever will. It might persist because of cultural tradition, where communities preserve ancestral practices against the tide of modernization. Other jobs survive in extreme conditions where automation simply can't reach. And some exist because no matter how advanced our technology becomes, there are parts of the human experience that machines simply cannot replicate. The human touch, the intuitive decision, the preservation of art. So let's begin our journey. These are the people doing work you didn't know still existed. Imagine waking every morning to the sound of waves crashing against rock. Your nearest neighbor is miles away. Your only companions are seabirds and the beam of light you're sworn to protect. This is the life of a lighthouse keeper, one of the world's most vanishing professions. At their peak in the early 1900s, thousands of lighthouse keepers maintained coastal beacons across the world. But by the 1990s, automation had replaced nearly all of them. Today, fewer than 50 active lighthouse keepers remain, mostly in the United States, Norway, and the United Kingdom. Those who remain aren't just caretakers, they're historians, weathermen, and guardians of maritime safety. They live in solitude, performing work that demands patience, resilience, and a deep respect for the sea. In an age of GPS and satellites, the lighthouse keeper is a reminder that some jobs aren't just about function. They're about presence, about being there when it matters most. From the solitude of the lighthouse, we dive beneath the surface, literally, to meet the professional mermaid. Yes, you heard that right. Around the world, a small community of performers has turned childhood fantasy into career reality. They train in freediving, breath control, and underwater choreography to perform at aquariums, luxury resorts, and film productions. It's not just about wearing a tail. Professional mermaids can hold their breath for 3 to 5 minutes, perform intricate routines while managing buoyancy, and interact with marine life, all while making it look effortless. Only a few hundred people in the world do this full time. It's a rare blend of athleticism, artistry, and pure imagination, proof that even in adulthood, some dreams can become reality. Now, let's talk about a profession that exists at the intersection of science, philosophy, and hope. The cryonics technician. In specialized facilities in the United States and Russia, a handful of technicians perform one of the most controversial procedures in modern science: preserving human bodies in liquid nitrogen at minus 196 degrees Celsius immediately after death. The belief? That future technology might one day revive them. Fewer than 100 people worldwide are trained in this highly specialized work. They're part scientist, part custodian of memory, and part believer in tomorrow. Whether you see them as visionaries or dreamers, one thing is certain: they're performing a service that didn't exist a century ago and may define centuries to come. Not all rare jobs are relics of the past. Some are cutting-edge responses to modern threats. Enter the ethical hacker, also known as a penetration tester or white hat hacker. These are the people companies hire to break into their own systems. Their mission? Find vulnerabilities before the bad guys do. Ethical hackers are incredibly rare because the job requires an unusual combination: expert-level coding skills, psychological insight into criminal thinking, relentless creativity, and, of course, impeccable ethics. There are only a few thousand certified ethical hackers globally, and the best ones are worth their weight in gold. In a digital world under constant attack, they're the invisible protectors, hackers who chose the light side. Have you ever watched a movie and marveled at how realistic the sound is? The crunch of footsteps on gravel, the swish of a jacket, the clink of a glass on a table. None of that was recorded on set. It was created by a Foley artist and one of cinema's most hidden craftspeople. Named after sound pioneer Jack Foley, these artists recreate everyday sounds in post-production, recording them in perfect sync with the visuals. It's a meticulous, creative, and deeply human art form. In the age of digital sound libraries, the number of active Foley stages worldwide has dwindled to just a few dozen. The artists who remain are keepers of a tradition that refuses to be automated, because no algorithm can replicate the intuition and artistry of human sound design. If you've ever complained about your commute, spare a thought for the passengers in Tokyo. During rush hour, some trains are so overcrowded that passengers physically cannot fit inside. That's where the Oshia comes in, a professional train pusher. Yes, this is a real job. Employed by railway companies, these workers are stationed at the busiest platforms. Their job? To carefully and efficiently push passengers into packed train cars so the doors can close. It's precise, high-pressure work that requires physical strength, spatial awareness, and an almost choreographed sense of timing. While their numbers have decreased with improved train frequency and etiquette campaigns, Oshia remain a living symbol of Japan's extreme urbanization and its commitment to making even chaos orderly. In several cultures around the world, particularly in parts of China, Egypt, and the Middle East, there exists a profession that might seem strange to outsiders but holds deep cultural significance. The professional mourner. These are people hired to attend funerals and publicly grieve for the deceased. They cry, wail, and express sorrow, all to honor the dead and support the family's display of loss. It's an ancient practice rooted in the belief that a loud, emotional send-off demonstrates love and respect. In some communities, a well-attended vocal funeral is seen as a measure of the deceased's importance. While the practice has declined in urban areas, it persists in rural and traditional communities. Professional mourners are cultural historians, performing an emotional labor that connects the living and the dead. In a world of keyboards and touchscreens, there are fewer than a dozen people alive who hold the title of Master Penman. Certified by the International Association of Master Penmen, engrossers, and teachers of handwriting, these artists represent the pinnacle of calligraphic skill. Their work isn't just beautiful, it's flawless. Becoming a master penman requires decades of practice, an almost superhuman level of hand control, and a deep understanding of historical letter forms. They create wedding invitations, official documents, and works of art that exist nowhere else in our digital world. They are the keepers of a dying art, proof that in an age of fonts and filters, the human hand can still create something no machine ever will. Some jobs don't just require skill, they require courage. Meet the iceberg mover. In the frigid waters of the North Atlantic and Arctic Ocean, massive icebergs pose a deadly threat to oil rigs and shipping lanes. When an iceberg drifts into dangerous territory, specialists are called in to move it. Using tugboats, nets, and calculated force, these experts redirect multi-million-ton ice mountains away from disaster zones. It's a rare blend of oceanography, engineering, and raw nerve. Only a few dozen people worldwide have the expertise to do it. They work in some of the most hostile conditions on Earth. And when they succeed, entire industries breathe easier. We close with a profession that didn't exist 20 years ago, one born from the isolation of modern life. The professional cuddler. In cities across North America, Europe, and Asia, Certified cuddlers offer something simple but increasingly rare: human touch and presence. Clients book sessions for platonic cuddling, conversation, and emotional comfort. It's often misunderstood, but the profession addresses a real crisis: loneliness. In a hyper-connected digital world, millions of people are starved for genuine human connection. Professional cuddlers fill a gap that apps and algorithms cannot. They provide safety, warmth, and the reminder that we're not alone. It's emotional labor in its purest form, and proof that even in our technological age, we still need each other. So why do these rare jobs matter? Because they remind us that work is more than efficiency and profit. It's about meaning, purpose, connection. The lighthouse keeper watching over sailors who'll never know their name. The Foley artist crafting sounds no one consciously notices. The master penman preserving beauty in every stroke. These professions exist at the margins, but they tell us something essential about who we are. They show us that humanity's value isn't measured in scale, that artistry, tradition, and empathy will always have a place, and that even in a world obsessed with the new, there's profound dignity in preserving what matters. Some of these professions will disappear within our lifetimes. The last lighthouse keeper will turn off the light. The final Foley stage may close its doors, but others will adapt, evolve, and perhaps inspire entirely new forms of work we can't yet imagine. Because here's the truth: every era has its rare professions, every generation has skills that seem impossible to preserve until someone decides they're worth fighting for. The jobs of tomorrow might look nothing like the jobs of today, but as long as there are humans willing to dedicate themselves to mastery, to meaning, to doing one thing extraordinarily well, rare professions will survive. So the next time someone tells you every job is the same, that everything's been automated, that there's nothing left to discover, remember these people. Somewhere right now, a person is polishing calligraphy with a steady hand. Someone is watching over a lighthouse beam, cutting through fog. Another is creating the sound of footsteps that will make a movie feel real. They are the last of their kind, the keepers of rare callings in a changing world. And they remind us that even in the age of algorithms and automation, the most irreplaceable thing we have is still each other. Thanks for joining us on Extremes of Reality. If this video opened your eyes to professions you never knew existed, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from the edges of human experience. And let us know in the comments: what rare profession fascinated you most? Or is there one we missed that you think deserves attention? Until next time, keep exploring the extremes.